Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of My View on Books. It's episode number 41. I'm MaddiE Dawson. You're watching MaddiE with MaddiE. And in today's My View on Books, we're going to talk about Recursion by Blake Crouch. I just one day before I finished reading this book. Oh man, 380 pages. I kind of prolonged it because I was reading multiple books and then I was busy making movies and other stuff. So it was really difficult to catch up reading habit. But somehow I finished reading this book in 2 months, and less than 2 months. I was supposed to do it in a single month, but then it prolonged. Fine. So we'll talk about Recursion, and you might be wondering what is this background, like rocket science or some analytics. It is the timeline of the events that happen in the story, and I was just googling, what kind of thumbnail should I keep, and then I ended up across this image. It was making sense, and definitely people who are reading, and if you don't understand the concept of the story, definitely you should come and check out this graph, the timeline graph of Recursion. It's such a heavy concept novel, science fiction novel, and it's an absolute thriller. And as you know, I've read Dark Matter from Blake Crouch and really loved that. The theme is love and science fiction. It's gonna be you're going to be getting that modern science fiction thrillers, and the same is true for Recursion as well. It's again a science fiction and the theme is the love, but as I would say, in this book the concept is more what do you say, more concept oriented than theme oriented. So you have the love and the romance towards the end of the story, but then until the end it's gonna be like exposition about the concept and the world, how the concept affects the world. So that's most of the novel, and towards the end you the romance hits you, and the ending is beautiful. Actually, this was rated this had more rating than the Dark Matter, so I was saving this as the best. I'll read it later, and then I picked up Dark Matter, but then Dark Matter blew my mind away. And then I was like, after 2-3 months gap, I thought I'll his stories are good, why not read it immediately. But that, I think it was a mistake. I should have given more gap, because still Dark Matter is still in your mind, and with that story in your mind, if you read Recursion, you might not be satisfied completely, I would say. But if I had read this book first, I would have been no matter whatever happened, I would have blown over. And that's why I kept it as your mind is going to bend. I cannot bend my mind, so I'm going to bend the book. Definitely, if you read the story of this book, your mind is going to bend. And yeah, the story is pretty complicated. Okay, so a lady scientist, she's the protagonist of the story. So she invents a scientific device that's gonna change the world, as well as gonna destroy the world. So they have to find a way to overcome this and try to save the world. That's the whole story. So our lady protagonist's name is Helena, and there's one more character who's supporting character, Barry. So Barry is married actually, and when the story begins, Barry is married. He's a New York cop, and there is this false memory syndrome. People FMS, they're called as FMS. People are saying that they remember some lives that they have never lived. So in Earth they are having an actual reality life, but along with that, suddenly they remember some other life, like living with a stranger who's the husband, and they cannot bear those false memories, so they end up suiciding, jumping off a cliff. Or so more such suicides are becoming frequently observed. That's where the story begins. So if you see the supporting character, protagonist supporting character, Barry is married, and her name is Julia, and he had a daughter, Megan, whom she lost. He lost at the age of I think 15 or not 50, yeah, 15 or 16, probably teenage. His daughter met with an accident, and Barry and Julia lost their daughter. So Barry is still like living with that regret, that why he allowed her daughter on that day outside, and she ended up accident, and she ended up dead. So he's been living with that regret, and his marriage also failed. Julia and Barry had been divorced. So this is a story of Barry, right? And coming to our protagonist Helena. Helena is basically a genius, and she's a scientist. In her special, what do you say? Special area is brain, study of brain. And she has a mother who has Alzheimer's. The where you can't remember, you kind of tend to lose yourself over a period of time towards the old age, and they completely forgot who you are and you can't remember stuff. So that's mostly, I forgot, Alzheimer's, or yeah, that the disease which is common among elders. Like, they tend to lose their memories. So Helena has a mother who has Alzheimer's, and that's a motive. She tries to invent something, to help people with this disease, or more of a disorder, try to collect memories of their life, who they are, and their family, friends. And when they are in Alzheimer's and they are going through Alzheimer's, they can't remember anything, right? So during that stage, whatever memories you have saved from an individual, you can actually make them remember those memories. So that's the motive, and that's the goal she's trying to achieve. And she's not getting enough funding, and she's not getting what she wants in the infrastructure. And also somehow one mysterious businessman, I would say he's not businessman, but he's kind of scientist come businessman, and he has a lot of funding. He stays in a highland way of it's kind of a private island. So he offers a job to Helena, right? You can come and do your research and try to invent your device here. I'll get all the funding, and it's very attractive, tempting. So Helena takes the job, and she stays in the island for more than 2 years, and she ends up inventing a device, and basically a memory chair. So this chair will not only help you to preserve your memories, your most what do you say most passionate memories, like that gives you both joy and pain. So it has to be associated with the pain, like the first time you tried to ride a bicycle and you fell and it hurt you, so you remember that moment, right? So we don't remember every moment from our childhood, but there are some specific moments which is immediately recollected even in our adult or old age. And you know that I tried to ride a cycle and I fell down. So if you I have a lot of memories, I can recollect a lot of memories. I was one time, I it was during I think first standard or second standard. So during interval break, I went out and my shoelace came off. So I sat in the ground. I started tying the shoelace, and it went on. Like for 2 hours, I was trying to tie this, and I missed two periods. So I still remember that moment. So I'm giving you an example. So this memory chair helps you to record such passionate memories from your mind, and then it not only does that, and you can actually go and live in that moment. So they develop basically a tank into which the individual goes, and they will cast this memory again to the individual, but they'll go back to the past, but in the present the individual will die. So basically, if you are living a memory, you're going to go into the past and start living from there again. So you're basically like, if for me, tying that shoelace incident. So I am right now, let's say 25, and from the age of 25 I've been cast into I think 7 or 8, that age. So I've been cast into that age, and with all those memories of 25 years of knowledge and skills that I've developed, I would have been cast into that 5-year-old small kid, MaddiE. So that's the kind of chair. It's an innovative memory chair where it kind of first collects the memory from your brain, and then helps you to go back to that moment, and it becomes a new timeline, and from there you live on as that particular body. So it basically helps you to time travel. And as you can see, the graph, there are a lot of timelines. That's why, because the characters in this book are going to be like, traveling back so often that you tend to lose track of which timeline they are. And that's the reason this graph has been charted, I guess. I'm just seeing right now. I could make, to a certain degree, I was able to keep track of the timeline, but then at certain point, they were like traveling so quickly and so many times back. So I was like, what is going to happen if they travel from this timeline to the past timeline? What's going to happen to this world? And I definitely get it that if you go to the past, that's going to be the other world, and from there the story is going to go. But I was thinking like, what's happening to this present world? So it becomes like a false memory, and what do you say? It's like, makes sense, right? Sometimes we have this deja vu moment that we lived this particular moment again. So it kind of makes sense in reality as well. Maybe this false memory concept that has been portrayed in this book kind of making sense in one way. Even the dark matter story made sense in some way. Like multiverse makes sense, right? Whenever you take a decision, you kind of having so many decisions in place and take one decision. So there could be other worlds or universes where you have taken a different decision and you lived through that decision. So it's that kind of concept. And Barry comes into picture because Barry somehow ends up using this chair, and he's been cast back to the moment where he lost his daughter. So this time he runs and saves his daughter, and he gets to live in that world. And his daughter grows up till 21, 26, something, 21 to 25. And then so the main point here is when Barry uses the chair, comes back again. So there are two lines. So Barry, actual cop in New York, lost his daughter, divorced to his wife Julia. So that is one timeline from this timeline. So let's say Barry is like 45 in this timeline, 45 age, and he jumps back using the memory chair. He jumps back to 37 or 38, and he gets to save his daughter, and he lives a new timeline. So again he comes to the age of 45. So when he reaches the point where he uses the memory chair in the old timeline, he kind of, it goes berserk. So everybody gets to remember what happened. So that becomes the older timeline becomes the false memory. Since he knows that he came from a different timeline, it doesn't affect him mentally, but for others it's becoming like they lived as, like, imagine her daughter. So she remembers that he died at the age of 15 or 16 in an accident. She remembers that, and she becomes psychotic, and at the end she ends up throwing off the building, and she commits suicide, and Barry loses his daughter again. So that was really like disturbing. But again, more than 380 pages, more than 200 pages, the concept is being explained in different manner. And after the 200 page, or the rest of the story is the relationship between Helena and Barry, how they meet with each other, and how they develop this romantic relationship, and they end up loving each other, and they simply keep jumping timelines trying to save the world. So it affects the whole world. Everybody kind of remembers what's happening whenever someone uses this chair, right? So it becomes reality check. Like, reality is broken, and like, you do not know what is reality. Everybody is remembering multiple timelines, and they can't believe which timeline is this, or who are they. So it becomes very disturbing for them, and they end up throwing themselves off. There's literally a narration where people are throwing themselves off the building, and nuclear bombs are being thrown in USA, Russia, and China, and literally the world is falling apart. And how Barry and Helena saves the world, and tries to undo this memory chair invention. That's the whole story. And obviously, if you read this book for the first time, it's going to be very interesting, and I'm sure, because I read Dark Matter first, and after that I started reading, not even like 1 year gap, I started reading this book. So I kind of felt the same vibes of Dark Matter, and like at certain point I was like, okay, it's too much concept. Dark Matter was also same, but then if you pick this up first, I'm sure it's going to be awe-inspiring, because this has a higher rating, 4.1, and Dark Matter has around 3.9 or 4. So the concept here is good, and the ending is absolutely amazing. Like, ending is like a bar scene where Barry meets Helena, and Helena doesn't remember any of those things. No relationship with Barry at all. So Barry is completely a stranger, and Barry is trying to communicate to Helena. Trying to ask her out, get a drink. So it's that kind of romantic ending to the novel. So I think that's the punchline. People liked it because more than the scientific concept that has been narrated, the romance between Helena and Barry has worked out. So especially after multiple timelines, and it's a fresh concept. If you haven't read Dark Matter, it's gonna be a fresh concept, and it's one of those modern science fiction thrillers that you will definitely like it. I enjoyed reading it, so I think again the same thing happened. Dark Matter, I read the last 200 pages in 1 or 2 days, and here the last 150 pages I would have read it in a 3 or 4 days. So I was so engrossed, and I wanted to finish reading this book, and it was absolutely amazing. I'm not sure how many books he has written, but definitely I'm going to check it out. But I'm going to give a gap at least 1 year before I pick any other book from Blake Crouch. But Dark Matter and Recursion are two damn good books in the 22nd century, and do check it out. It's available on Amazon, and yeah, it's basically a new and unique science fiction concepts along with a theme like love, and Dark Matter was also love and family. Like the protagonist, Jason, is trying to get back to his wife and daughter, I mean wife and son. So wife and son in a multi-universe setting. So in this case, it's like a time travel, and time travel through memories. And this memory chair is both a gift and a curse. So they are trying to save the world from this memory chair and wrong people using this memory chair. And Barry and Helena are two main characters. There are a lot of characters. Like over a period of time, from the beginning, Slade is someone who is the antagonist, but then he is just like another character. He becomes another character towards the end of the story, but in the beginning till middle, he's the main villain kind of character. And he in the end, he ends up giving a vital information to save the world. And then there is yeah, I think these are the three main characters. Others are like supporting characters, and they have not have so many pages in detail. Yep, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Recursion is damn good book. Do check it out. It's a mind bending. I cannot bend my man, so I'm bending my book. Mind bending story, and if you get a chance, do purchase it and read it. And most probably, next week I'll do what am I reading right now, because it's really difficult to read books nowadays. Especially nowadays we are delivering movies every week, and there's a lot of pre-production and post-production works for it. So I do not get proper time to read the books, but I still read books. So let me do 1 or 2 episodes monthly. So 42nd, 7 and 8 more episodes to reach 50 mark. It's a landmark. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll reach this milestone this year. And yeah, do stay tuned. You're watching MaddiE with MaddiE. All the categories are going to be resumed. Tomorrow we'll be resuming Star Wars Jedi. And then Wednesday I'm not able to do a movie review episode. I mean movie talk. But I'll put a shot. And Thursday it's going to be Harry Potter. MaddiE Potter is going to come back. Friday, one more comedy movie. This week is going to be a comedy. I hope you guys enjoyed Zombie C19. I have been seeing there are like minor faults that we have done in the movie, but we have done pretty good, and it has been receiving positive response so far. Do watch Zombie C19 without fail, and stay tuned for more content. You are watching MaddiE with MaddiE. Who is that MaddiE? I'm the MaddiE Dawson. Bye bye. Have a nice week. Ta-ta.